Good afternoon. Welcome to another family engagement discussion. I am Mara Grujanic, Family Engagement Coordinator at Stevenson High School, and I welcome you today to our conversation. Today, in honor of Wellness Week, we are going to talk about self-care strategies for your team. And so sometimes this can be a little bit of an interesting conversation that you have with your team if you're saying to them, how are you taking care of yourself? They might laugh at you and think, wait, what do you? Because self-care is super important. And as we have seen over the past year, taking care of yourself means self-care means having a healthy relationship with yourself so you can then use those good feelings that you have about yourself to sort of be and interact with others. And we know that that's a really, really important thing, especially now that we're not virtual anymore and we're all seeing one another. I mean, we're seeing each other like this, but we're seeing one another. So if you can't take care of yourself, it's going to be really hard for you to be able to be with others, take care of others, be present talking to others. And even though some people think like taking care of yourself, oh, that's super selfish, taking care of yourself is very, very important. And I tell that to you also as caregivers and people who have young people in your lives who can sometimes test your patience, try you a little. You got to take care of yourselves first. It's super important for your students as well to take care of themselves. So let's talk about that for a little bit. What does it mean when we talk about self-care? Well, what self-care really is, it's about meeting your basic needs so that you can be physically or mentally healthy. And as you can imagine, being physically healthy is important, but being mentally healthy is really important too. So what we mean by self-care is that is anything that you do deliberately to take care of your mental, emotional, or physical health. It's a simple concept, but it's something that a lot of people really overlook. And as a caregiver, you may say, oh yeah, I do that. I don't take time, but it's a habit. And what we're talking about in the beginning of the school year is creating habits and helping you as a caregiver help your student with their habits to really have an improved mood, reduced anxiety. There is so much that comes along with having good self-care. Nutrition and movement and sleep all impact your brain and your mental health. And so we often hear that, and when you're around teens, you often think, boy, my teen is not getting enough sleep or not enough exercise or spends too much time online. And all those things may be true, and you know what works for your teen, because one of the things that we do know is that there's no one formula that works for every teen, but you as the caregiver in that situation know them best. So what's your role? Your role is to teach the fundamentals of self-care, and that's good nutrition, sleep, exercise, and minding their mental health. So let's talk about that for a minute. So first in mental health is, or physical health, is the concepts of getting enough sleep, right? So they say 8 to 10 hours of sleep. And it's funny, I just had this conversation with my 24-year-old who said, I've started going to sleep later, and it's harder for me to wake up earlier. You don't know what to do. Well, go to sleep earlier. But it's a hard cycle to break out of. And so when you're sort of watching your teen and watching how much they're studying. They may have an occasional late night or whatever. I mean, we all have occasional late nights, but that it's that habit of not getting enough sleep that's going to impact them. Additionally, nutrition is super important. Cannot stress the importance of drinking enough water and eating healthy. I don't know if you're aware, but at Stevenson High School, we have healthy alternatives every single day. There's always a salad bar, and there's always a hot option that's a healthy hot option. And you can just eat meat and vegetables if you don't want carbohydrates or grains, or you can just eat vegetables or whatever. But there's all sorts of healthy options, and sort of reviewing those, keeping in mind your how you eat, what kind of limitations around your eating, or what rules you follow around your eating. You can always have that conversation with your teen about what are you eating, how are you eating, is it healthy, and is it balanced, right? So starting to build the skills of balanced eating for your teen is really important from the ages of 14 to 18, because after 18, they're probably going to go off on their own, and they should have those understandings early. Also, 20 minutes of exercise every day, super important. If your teen is not involved in a co-curricular where they would walk, or they would be in a sport, or they would have that physical exercise, 20 minutes a day is a really good rule of thumb. There's actually studies that have been done that say for mental health, 20 minutes a day gives you exactly the right amount of minutes in the week that studies have shown scientifically, improves your health. It improves your well-being. So 20 minutes a day. And if you have a little bit more time, that's a great time to take a walk with your teen and just have open-ended conversation and listen to what they're saying and build that bond. It's really an interesting idea for you to think about. Then the mental health. So that's taking care of your mind. That's learning how to manage stress. Do you have to do healthy deep breathing? Lisa Damour is a big fan of square breathing, and that is breathe in for the count of 4, hold it for the count of 4, breathe out for the count of 4, and hold it for the count of 4. And that's square breathing. That's really, really good for your teen to sort of be able to do no matter where they are. And that healthy deep breaths calms you, calms any kinds of anxieties. Very good for taking care of your mental health. Being able to manage your schoolwork and manage your school and your studying is really important. And the goal for that would be obviously to do well in school. But where you fit into that is when you have that conversation with your teen and you say, what are you doing? How much are you doing? How are you studying? Do you have a place to study that's a dedicated space? And do you have all your materials? A lot of us have homes. I know in my home, it's a common space. And so they can't hold all their materials in one place. So what we do is we just have a bag, and all the study materials go in that bag. And that bag is only used for study materials. So the pencils or the pens or whatever materials they may need for that studying outside of their laptop or their tablet, what's school issued that they bring back and forth. But there's dedicated space for that. So you're not taking the time up when you're studying to find things, because that can add to stress. Also, part of your mental health is your home relationship. You being able to help your teen through being a teenager when their frontal cortex is really developing. I'm not a neuroscientist, but I do know the front of their brain is still developing. That's where they're making decisions. That's where they're deciding what's happening. And that's where you can have patience, an open mind, and listen to them. So spend time with them. If they're pushing back at rules because they want to be independent, have a conversation about why we have those rules. Have a conversation so that you can say to them, hey, this is why this is my rationale for it. And it sort of becomes a partnership then, and they understand your thinking, and they start to build that bond with you as a partner in their growing up, and rather than being like the manager, right? So you're becoming sort of the mentor. Another thing for you to be able to help them understand is not to take on too much. You know, a lot of our teens work and they want to be involved in 5 clubs and they want to take all sorts of classes, but to sort of put down a schedule with them and be mindful about, what are you doing every day? How much time is this taking? Do you have time to do all of the things that you want to do? Because now in the first couple of weeks of school, it's a really good time for you to have that conversation, for you to understand the expectations of their academics. It's a great idea for you to attend either tonight or next Wednesday's open house. It's all virtual. And if your teen has the time, to have them sit with you so you both hear the same message and you both have the same expectations out of their classes. But learn about what's going on with them, learn about what's happening in school and what the expectations for their academics are before they add on more things like a co-curricular activity or a work responsibility or a home responsibility, that those responsibilities that they have that are in conjunction with academics, that they can do them and they don't take on more, so it adds to their stress. Then what can you do if you see your teen is really just frazzled? I don't know what to do. I'm really out of it. And one of the things they can do is take a quick deep breath or change their routine. If they're having a really hard time academically and you see it and they're just bogged down, it's a really good idea to get up and get a glass of water. It seems very simple, but disengaging mentally from that activity is a really good strategy for them that they can take on, they can use now, and they can take on with them as they move along in the year and on with their studies. They can do small acts of self-care. They can write down 3 things they like about themselves, write a nice note to a friend. Maybe they have a younger sib that they want to send a text message to that says, hey, I thought I saw you do something really nice the other day. Actually, another study, when you do nice things for other people, it actually has a positive correlation and a positive impact on you. Something to think about. List 5 things that you're grateful for. It's a quick thing. Get up and wash your face. Maybe take a walk. If you have a pet, hang out with your pet. Watch your fish swim in the bowl. Eat a piece of fruit or a vegetable. Or plan an activity. Maybe you have regular family times and you can ask your team to plan that activity for you. What can you do? How can Stevenson help you with your team, right? Be mindful and take care of themselves. Well, one of the first things is we're still in the beginning of the year. And so your team can look at co-curriculars or things that they can do after school, right? Clubs or teams that they might want to join. There are some teams that they're not cut sports, you know, so some teams you have to try out for, some teams you can just be part of. Co-curriculars, they are always looking for new people and they welcome new people. So if your team finds that they have time in their day to be involved in extra things and connect with other people, invite them to do that. Invite them to go to the student activities office. There's a whole wall of cards that are there with every single club that you can think of. It's also found online. So they don't have to come, they don't have to go to student activities if they're shy. They can always look it up on and online. You can always, this is mindfulness week, right? This is wellness week. And so students are doing a lot of things during the lunch periods to learn about their taking care of their mental health. And one of the great things that you can do on Saturday is our wellness fest. And it is part of Street Fest and it starts at 5 o'clock. And I think around 9 o'clock, there'll be fireworks. If you have younger kids at home or the whole family is invited to come, but I have to give you just a quick tip. Your teenager may not want to hang out with you during Street Fest. but everybody is welcome to come. There'll be inflatables and lots of activities and music, and just it's a really fun thing. It's in Lot E behind the high school, so like next to the football field. The other thing is, if you really see that your teen is really having a hard time and struggling, please make sure you reach out to your counselor. Your counselor is your number one support in asking questions. I mean, you can always ask me a question, you can always reach out to me, but your counselor is that number one support for if you're having a difficult time or you see they're having a hard time in class and they don't want to contact the teacher or whatever it is, your counselor is there with you. They're your partner in your student's education for 4 years. I highly encourage you to, if you have not, reach out to them, introduce yourself, make them your friend. I mean, they'll be your friend no matter what, but feel comfortable with them. I thank you again for being part of this family engagement session, this family engagement short. I'd like to ask families that participate in these live to give me feedback on what's going on. I always like to hear your feedback. And so to that end, I am going to put a link in the chat to just a quick survey. It's 3 questions. Just, did this meet your needs? And I also want to tell you that if you're new to these family engagement sessions, that I have a YouTube channel. And my YouTube channel has on it, and I'm going to put that link right now into the chat, and if you're watching this after the fact, you already have found the YouTube channel, so welcome. That YouTube channel has on it every single family engagement short that I have done. Okay, I've only done 4 of them this year, but they're on there. And so that's for you as well. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope that you're having a great start to the school year. There will not be a family engagement short tomorrow, but on Monday, we're going to talk about staying in the know and how you as a family member can stay connected with Stevenson High School and all the things that are happening. Take care, have a great evening, and I hope I see you on Saturday at Street Fest. I will be at the Student Services table. Take care, bye-bye.